All right, Debra Raymond, Tom Caltabiano here, ELR 360 Live. Let's see how we sound, everybody. All kinds of different platforms. Oh, I got to put this computer here. So now I have to hit go live there. Do that there. Okay, and now reaching for my phone here. Turn on this screen up there. Hi, everybody. Everybody loves Raymond. Talking to all of our fans. Wow. Is that a, can't tell if it's a good hair day or bad hair day. Hard to tell. Okay. Welcome everybody. Tom Caltabiano here, right around Everybody Loves Raymond, talking about all things Everybody Loves Raymond. And today, a lot of questions. I don't know why. I posted one photo and a lot of questions came up about it. So I'm going to, as they say, lean into it. Lean into that subject. Let me look on this here. Let's say hi to some people as everything loads. And then let me look on Instagram. Yes, everybody. Hello. I neglect the YouTube audience. Hello, Carmen in Puerto Rico. How are you? Thank you for saying hello. It's always good to have somebody in Puerto Rico saying hello. Okay, so now I'm going to search here. So many good points of trivia about the Fun with Debra episode season 1. Sorry, episode 1 of season 8. Episode 1 of season 8. Fun with Debra. And here, there's a couple of really interesting. I'm going to say hi to some people, but really interesting things here. Let's see. What is that? That is okay. Let's search this term. Okay. Okay. Yes. Oh, there we go. See if that comes up. What I'm doing is I'm searching for a script. Let me see this. Okay. Yes. Okay. The PDF shooting script. Let's see what comes up. Awesome. It's supposed to be fun. So, this, I wanted to bring this up for a reason because so many questions. Hello, Ohio. Hello from Massachusetts. Why am I shouting? Great hair day. Thank you. Hi, Anita. It's Anita. Now, Anita, do I know you, Anita? Because it's Anita. That's a very, there's always a pet peeve. The pet peeve, what am I saying? When people call up and they say, hey, it's me. It's me. That is a very, very tough one. Hello, Vermont. Hello, everybody. Is this here? I'm going to click on this. I'm not keeping you guys in suspense. I mean, I am. What I'm trying to do is I don't want to outing is not the right word. Oh, wow. Why is that so hot? That's a recording that's very hot level. Anita Fletcher, is that you? Yes. Okay. That was my guess. So when Ray and I want to say season 5 or something. So let's so Anita, we're going to get back to you in 1 second. Hi, Anita. How are you? Good to see you. The going to Paley in August. All right. Okay. For those of you who have never seen me before, Tom Caltabiano. I was a writer on Everybody Loves Raymond for all 9 years. And I have been doing this since the beginning of COVID because everybody was shut down. And I said, I'll do it for a few weeks. And that's 5 years ago. So we've been talking about Everybody Loves Raymond. We've established quite a bit of community here around the world, which is awesome. To know that the show has a fan base that is around the world, and a lot of people have a lot of questions, especially, the UK, Australia. The UK, it plays every morning, or at least, it's been on again, off again, but it seems like it's been playing every morning consistently for quite some time. And a lot of people have no clue about the history of the show, nor do they have to. It's always like, do you enjoy something? Yes. Do you need to know the history of it? Not really. But when you're a big fan of the show or any show, chances are you really do. You want to learn more about it. You have I forget the name of the guy, Seinfeld, Jerry something, but he he had a big show, and Friends is a pretty big show, etc. And what happens, I Love Lucy, big show. What happens is people really get enamored with it, and we've talked about this before. But a sitcom is like no other form of entertainment in that it plays over and over again. For Edward's Raymond, we had 210 episodes, and you get attached to those characters. So even your favorite movie of all time, you don't watch that movie every day. You could. There's nothing stopping you except for maybe mental stability, because I think eventually you would get sick of watching the same movie every day. A sitcom has such variety that you can watch it every day, and it's a little bit of a little bit of reprise from the life that we are faced every day, no matter who you are. Everybody with their challenges. So, telling the history, because I was there from beginning to end, not bragging rights, just a fact. And I took photos from the beginning to end, etc. And bringing us back to the beginning. Hello, Anita. So I met Ray Romano doing stand-up comedy, and the first person that would headline me is the woman Anita, who said hello. And in the bringing it back to Raymond, Anita booked a bunch of rooms in Virginia, North Carolina, Nags Head, North Carolina, the home of something called Flight, the Wright brothers, if you look it up. Although I think there's some contention with the British and the French of who actually made the first flight. But let's just assume the Wright brothers did that first flight. I did a lot of stand-up with Anita, for Anita at her clubs. And the first time she headlined me, and what would happen is hopefully you become funny enough where there's 3 acts, usually the opener, the middle, and the headliner. And hopefully you become funny enough that as a middle act, which is the easiest spot on the show, you do extremely well. You do so well that the headliner has trouble following you. That's a term they use. Like, for example, Brian Regan is an exceptionally funny stand-up, same manager as Raymond. And Brian Regan, especially at his height and still now, but there was a point where it's hard to follow. You don't want to follow Robin Williams. You don't want to walk into the club and Robin Williams kills, and then you go up and you're like, hey, let me tell you about problems I'm having with my girlfriend, as a giant star just got off stage. So I was doing really well in the middle spot, and Anita said, hey, I'm going to move you up to a headliner spot, which is awesome. It also means you have to do 40 minutes versus 25 or 30 minutes. And so the first show, my first headlining show, was at Matt's British Pub in Richmond, Virginia. And I went up, and I would usually kill. It was a very small club. It was, if you ever go to the Comedy Cellar in New York, this had almost the same vibe as the Comedy Cellar in New York. Low ceilings, not a big room. So the worst place that people can perform, there was a place still probably there, I'm sure. Kowloon, the Kowloon in Boston is a giant Chinese restaurant, and it feels like you're performing in an airplane hangar. And for a comedian, you want the energy to stay in. You don't want a laugh to happen, like one of the worst shows. And probably the only time I saw Ray Romano not do well was he did a room in the Catskills. I have video of that. I think there's some video of that where I showed it at the Paley Center. Ray goes up. It's a 3,000 seat room. It's gigantic room. And there are 300 people in the audience. And Ray did not do well. The energy was it just did not go well for him. So Matt's British Pub, Richmond, Virginia, perfect room. Just great. Talking to the audience. I was always loved talking to the audience, much like I did on Edward's Raymond, much like I do to you right now. And so I would ad lib. I would very often ad lib for a long time if I wanted to. It always impresses the audience. And for other comedians, it's like, stop talking to the audience and just do your act. Or, if you want to get on a Tonight Show, you can't ad lib your way onto the Tonight Show. But the audience always finds it impressive. So first time headlining, I'm like, this is great. I go up. And in the front row are some guys, frat feeling guys with baseball caps. And every time I said a joke, they would do this. They would go, And there was probably 6 of them, 7 of them, all in the front row. So, if you talk, and I remember talking to Gary Shandling about this, where, Gary Shandling not many people as funny as him on the planet, and he did some benefit, and there's a guy, there's like 500 people, but there's a guy in the front row with his arms folded, just staring at him, and he was talking about how much it ruined his show. So you wouldn't think that someone would have that power, but when the front of the audience, and this is one thing about laughter that we've talked about, when you have a sketch that people do for a week and then finally a live audience comes in, it comes alive. The timing of the actors comes alive. So I go up, there's a bunch of fat guys, they're not laughing, they have their heads, they're like, we're going to heckle this guy and we're not going to stop the whole show. And so it was a terrible show for me. It just felt like nothing was going right. And so I go afterwards, well, I'll probably never headline again, but hopefully Anita won't hear about it. And I walk off stage, thank you very much. And I leave after 45 minutes or whatever. And I'm walking, and just before I hit the steps, Anita goes, "Hey, Tom." And I'm like, "Oh, I can't believe you're at this show, Anita." And she's like, "Oh, don't worry about it. They're just college kids." And that was it. And then the next night I had great shows, and I was in Nags Head, North Carolina at her gig when I was having a conversation with an agent that my friend hooked me up with, who said they could represent me. And they said, "Hey, Tom, we're trying to negotiate for you to be on Everybody Loves Raymond, and we're trying to get you paid and some type of credit or something." And so those conversations were happening while I was still at comedy club in Nags Head, North Carolina. And that, called the Carolinian, is that what it was called? I don't think it's still there. That happened while I was at the Carolinian, and that club was in Nags Head, or at least, yes, in the vicinity. I know for people that are on that are out there, they're going to go, Tom, you're a half a mile off in your description of the actual geography, just like Hot Dog Johnny's in Buttsville, New Jersey. Where is it exactly? So that show was also at 10 p.m. So people would spend all day long at the beach, frolicking, having fun. And then they would go to the comedy show at 10 p.m. And Ray and we were doing stand-up months before. And we were at the Improv. We were in October. We were doing the Improv in Washington, D.C. And Raymond got the pilot script for Everybody Loves Raymond. And at one of those shows at the Improv in Washington, D.C., I had a phenomenally good show. I was the middle act, and I ad-libbed a lot and talked to the audience. And I can't remember if I drank with some of the audience people afterwards, whatever it was. But when I was in North Carolina headlining, all of a sudden it was the same people went to that club at Nags Head, and they were like, "It's him, it's Tom," in a good way. So there we go. Anita checking in. And what happened was, in season 5, I want to say, she would know, I'd have to look. I got a bunch of us who performed for her because she really liked, she really was a champion of comedians. Let's put it that way. And we said, I made a sign that said, "We'll be back, Anita." It was maybe season 4, I don't know, but John Regi was there, who's a very good comedian and made a lot of success in Hollywood. So there you go. There is the little periphery of all things going on in show business before making my way back to, or out to, Los Angeles, where Ray and I shared an apartment the first season because most shows get canceled. Raymond unfortunately screwed up and made a hit show. So there you go. That's the short of it. Okay, let me catch up here now. Yes, I'll find that photo. Let me see. So for those of you that don't know, you can look up a word in your photo library. I happen to have over 3 million photographs, at least 3 million photographs. So I'll see if I can find we'll be back Anita photo and show it to you. If not, I will share it at some point, because I think I only have about 800,000 photos on my book. in my on my phone rather. Okay, let's catch up. Let's say hello to some people. That was a long story that I was not expecting to tell. Please talk about these Italy episodes, about the Italy episode. Okay, yes, here we go. The thing is, when I do these every Sunday, I can only talk about so many things. Otherwise, I'm scattered. Maybe we should do a special. Yes, Carmen, my friend in Puerto Rico. What do you want to know about the Italy episodes? Because they were shot in Italy and in Burbank. So we talk about Fun with Debra. That's where Debra goes golfing with Raymond. So Italy episodes, I'll just really briefly tell you about the Italy episodes. Italy episodes were shot in Italy, near Rome, and in Rome, Spanish Steps, obviously, and then on the soundstage on at Burbank on stage 5. And a lot of people have written, I feel ripped off because you said they were in Italy and they weren't really in Italy. Well, it's the magic of television. So when Raymond is in the small room and he's complaining, he has a cold, and he's saying, this is such a small room, this is terrible. And then they walk out into the balcony, and it's the most beautiful on the lake vista. So that's Italy. Small room is in Burbank. It's just a film cut, as we say. So and I've heard this, never heard this before until people started writing. Hey, Tom, I noticed that fill in the blank. It's not, wait a minute. You weren't in Italy, or you were in Italy? We were in Italy. So how often do you try and do this trickery where you confuse and fool the audience? Okay, that is just called filmmaking. So you can't possibly have everything be real. So sometimes Tom Cruise works with green screen. I'm not saying often. I'm just saying there are times when you have something like an establishing shot. For example, the establishing shot of Ray and Deborah's house, across from Frank's, that's in Merrick, Long Island. On the show, they live in Lynbrook, Long Island. And so it's not, sorry, I got to take a sip from, what am I drinking here? Yes, from the, here we go. True Raymond fans know what that means. That's one of our most popular mugs right there, the AIS mug. All right. And then the Italy episode came about. You know, by the way, I think we talk about it at the Paley Center, and you can watch that on YouTube now. They posted a longer version of what they had posted earlier, about 20 more minutes of material, including my extended story about the young girl episode. But in real life, Phil Rosenthal said to Ray, where are you going for your spring break? And Ray said, the Jersey Shore. And Phil said, oh, don't you want to go to Italy or something like that? And Ray said, nah, I'm not really interested in different so much. And so that kind of spurred Phil to go, let's do an episode in Italy. Now, season 5, Ever's Raymond is a giant hit. It's a big expense to go to Italy. And I did not go, or you would see magnificent photos of the Italy episode. That inspired Phil because he saw a change in Ray Romano in real life, along with the character Ray Barone. And so then Phil, much later, now has Somebody Feed Phil, which is kind of carrying on that tradition. And Phil tells it in a very eloquent way. What do I want to say? The transformation. Yeah, I was going to say transmogrification, but that would be a big fancy word. Let's see. Yes. So let me fill up. So not the whole crew went because we had to do the Italy episode. Then the car crashing through the wall was the episode after that, which was our 100th anniversary. So 100th episode anniversary. Okay. Wow. I have neglected Facebook. Let me go back to Facebook here. Hi, everybody. Let's see. Hi, Tom. It's Deb. Hi, Deb. You know what I'm looking for? Let me just see here. Let me see here. Oh, there we go. Nope, that's not it. This is a banana hard drive. This is a hard drive. There you go. That's a USB hard drive. That was banana. No, I was looking for a magnifying glass to see some stuff. Okay. Okay, let me bring up this. Hi, Susan Woods Stompanato, the world's greatest name to say. By the way, on my feed for my Instagram is frozen, just FYI. Hello, Deb from thing. Hi, Mona. Let me say hi. Mona in Montreal. What's the temperature here? Oh, it's almost 90 degrees here in Hollywood. I never have sorry. Hi, everybody. I have a question off topic. Tom, have you ever watched British comedies like Keeping Up Appearances? Usually comes on PBS station on the weekend at least. Okay. I have not watched it. I'm going to be honest. I watch almost zero television, not because of snobbery or anything else. And I've mentioned that before. I don't have a this is so blasphemous. I work in television. I don't have a television. I don't have television service into my house. I'm very much about conversation. Sounds snooty, but I am. So I'm woefully ignorant about all good things. And when I go to a friend's house and they have the TV on, I am like a moth to a light bulb. I'm just staring at it because it's so good. But I will say I'm been exceptionally busy making stuff and putting out fires, etc. But I will put that in, and I know. I was asked to write on a show in the UK called Not Going Out. Is that a show? Am I remembering that? Um, but I couldn't. It was funny, but I was like, I don't think I can. Comedy's so precise that the language barrier, even though I know you guys speak the same language, when I say you guys, I mean those of you in the UK, that I was like, I don't know if I can, in full confidence, say the law, come up with comedically stuff that works. Now, that doesn't speak to story, but just the verbiage might be trouble. Okay, so let's see. I'm looking now at the script. That's why I have this face. Oh, it came up with that script. Okay. I see. Hold on. Don't panic, everybody. I'm looking up for this. Yes. I pull my glasses up. There's that. Okay, let me type in this because we're talking about fun with Debra. Okay, let's do this and this. Okay, let's catch up. On. For those of you that don't know, I'm speaking to you through a program called StreamYard. So I see a feed from Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Hello, Ireland. Hello, Clayton. Wow, I got to really catch up. Hi, Kim. Aloha. You are in Hawaii. Bobby S. also in Hawaii. Hello, Toronto. Yes, these are, wow, you can tell how far behind I am. ELR on in the morning. Hi, Karen in Plymouth, England. ELR on early in the morning every weekend in the UK. ELR on in the morning every weekend. Did they pull it off of the regular weeks? Yes. Hi, Kristen Snabs. Yes, Karen Jack loves Nag's Head. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, keeping up. Oh, let me catch up. So I do. Let me see. Let's see. Yes. Hi, Marie. You hardly watch any modern TV. Now it's all reruns. Yes, which is very good. I will say this. It's a great time for drama. I don't know that there's any sitcoms at all, nor do I know that if there's any coming up. Eventually, they I hope would eventually make another great sitcom. Okay. Let's see this. Okay, I'm scrolling back. Sorry, when you hear me going, maybe, I don't know. Let's see this. Yes. Hello. Yes. Wow. Okay. Now I'm caught up. Sorry, this is very boring to listen to me going, yes. Oh, wow. Yes. Not entertaining at all. The young girl episode, the young girl was 16 in real life, the actress. I don't know how many other, I'm sure she pursued acting. She was very good. Tinsley Grimes, was that her name? Yes. I should know that. Very, very good. Hi, Tom from Bakersfield, California. Love you and your show. Okay. I'm going to accept that as a compliment. All right. So let me get to fun with Debra. And I'll answer this. What did the audience see during the Italy episode? Anytime you have a pre-tape, meaning it's already in the can, as they say, the audience sees playback of that scene. So the live audience, and a lot of people said, oh, what a terrible blocked view. When I posted some pictures, some film of the wedding episode from season 2, I was down on the floor and I was videotaping up. And so people are like, how did the audience see anything? Well, the audience is in bleachers, and the front row of the bleachers, the first row, they're about, I want to say 6 feet above the stage already, and then it goes up from there. So you had a really good view of the sets, and you would be able to watch. There's monitors all over the TV. So there's like, let's say 20 monitors, and you could watch it on TV, or you could look down and watch it live. So when they did the Italy episode, they filmed the stuff in Italy, they edited it, and then they rolled it through, meaning here's the stuff in Italy, we watch it, and now we're watching it being filmed here, and then back to the thing here, because they're using all the laughs so the people that watch those scenes being played back, they're recording those laughs, and that's what you guys hear at home on your television. Okay, so now, okay, here we go. Fun with Debra. Let's open that bad boy up. Oh, yes, that's a nice one. Nice photo there. Fun with Debra. Here's why it's interesting. We did all of it on the stage. Now, some people go, hey, for those of you who haven't seen it, Fun with Debra is where Ray goes to the golf course. He wants to play golf. Debra shames him to spend time with his kids. He ends up taking his kids to play golf. They have a blast. And then Debra decides, hey, why don't we play golf together? That will be fun. And we learn a lot about them while they're playing golf. Now, a lot of people have said, let me hold this up for a couple of you people who haven't checked on Instagram. How come you didn't film on a golf course? Are you people stupid, or you like to spend money? And that is a very, very good question, because even I said, hey, why didn't we film on a golf course? So then I called up our line producer, Lisa Jackson, Lisa Helfrich at the time, Lisa Helfrich Jackson, however you abbreviate her name, she is line producer, which means she has to do all the budgeting and prepare everything for the logistics of how to get stuff done. So the writers, Phil and the writers, hopefully come up with a really, really funny idea. And then they go, okay, here's the idea. We have to have a car crash to the wall. We have to have Ray and Debra playing golf. We have to, etc. So then Lisa gets the script and goes, oh, can't you guys just stay in the living room, please? And she goes, okay, let me run the numbers. She comes down. She goes, okay, Phil, here's what we can do. We can do this, but it's going to cost a lot. What if we did this, etc. And it's not really a negotiation. I mean, she'll come to Phil and be like, what you're trying to do is really expensive. What about this? But for the most part, it's like, Lisa, here's the script. How much is it going to cost? And please don't say no, just get it done. That sounds, Phil is not bossy that way, but there wasn't this big negotiation like, Phil, what about they don't play golf? What about another episode? That didn't happen. So the cost, and here's what you don't think about. If you were to film on location, that means if you were to go to a golf course, which looks really real, that means you have to have the entire crew put into a golf course somewhere. And that means a half a day of transporting everything there, half a day of transporting everything back. You shoot a whole day of filming. Italy, you can't really fake. Italy looks like Italy, and they feel by season 5 a big hit, so they got to go to Italy. On the golf course, it just didn't make sense to try and do it on a big golf course. Now, what do you lose? You lose the long drive, but do you really miss it? Do you really miss seeing the ball going into the distance? You're just there to tell a story. So when we walked down on stage, we knew that this episode was coming. We were shocked to see the golf course on our stage. It's amazing what what the set designer, art department is called. Everything is under the art department. The set designer, the set decorator, etc. That falls under the art department. And so we were like, holy moly, this is very impressive to see this. And now, I see people commenting like, of course we know it's fake. And other people are shocked that it's not a real golf course. So you can be in between. You're allowed to be shocked that it's not on a real golf course, etc. Don't feel that you were tricked by us, tricksters, as they say. Let me see here. So that's the interesting thing. Now, people are asking, why wasn't Brad in that episode? Why wasn't Amy in the episode? They were on their honeymoon. But let me see this. Let's see. What is this? Okay. Yes. I'm really multitasking here. Brad So the next episode is thank you notes, and they come back from their honeymoon. I think Brad, Garrett, and Patty were both doing negotiations then, so I think that factored into it. But it worked out perfectly because they were away on their honeymoon, which made sense. And it worked out perfect. Now, here's a little point of trivia. I'll put up a photo. John Manfrotati, Fred Stoller, Gianni, Gerard, they were in Fun with Debra. And you say, wait, Tom, these bold-faced lies that you're telling me. Well, that scene was cut. So even I had a picture, and I look back and I go, I scratch my head and I go, wait a minute, where's that scene? That scene is completely cut. So we filmed an entire scene with Fred Stoller and John Manfrotati. I can't remember if Andy was in it, but it was cut for probably time. So that tells you that if they cut this entire scene with them, then how would they have time for Robert's character to be in there? It was really a Ray Deborah's story. And so even if Brad, even if everything was great in that, whatever that negotiation was, it just wasn't an episode that needed Brad. And a lot of times, here Phil brought this up at the Paley Center. Everett Raymond had almost zero B stories. So what does that mean? There's an A story, the B story. And I had a friend of mine, she had a sitcom and she's like, well, what about the B story? And I'm like, sure, but Raymond never had a B story and we did okay. So if you have enough story and it's a good job when you're like, oh, I wanted this to keep going, right? You wanted that episode to just keep going because it was so enjoyable. And so that tells you, that the story was told. You feel completed, but you could still see a little bit more. I mean, you have to bring the story to completion. But if you have all these different stories, now there's nothing wrong with Seinfeld did that, where they had all these intersecting things and then brought them back together, and they would have 40 scenes, let's say. Everett Raymond sometimes had 3 scenes for the entire episode, 3 scenes for the entire episode, which is really, really crazy that they would only have that. And so what you have to, for watching the show, because a lot of people have written that, I wish you had more with Johnny. I wish you had more with Peter when he started dating the cookie lady. But we were at the end of season 9 already, and you can only service so many characters. You love your main characters. And I brought this example up before. When I Love Lucy shot the pilot for I Love Lucy, they had this very famous clown in there, clown performer, and they gave him a big scene. Well, at the time, he was famous, and you're like, wow, great. We'll help our show by having this famous guy. Now, 60 years later, 70 years later, you're like, who is this guy? Why is he taking away from our beloved characters? And that's, I think, what you feel with Everett Raymond. You want to see Doris Roberts, you want to see Marie in every single scene of every episode, if that was possible. So it'd be weird to spend time on an outside character with the structure of Raymond. Okay. So that's why when you see, I'll post the picture of the script completely cut out. And the way I knew it is I saw a picture of here, let me see. Let me look here if this is it. Phil's giving notes and I'm like, oh, that's so weird. Why is Fred Stoller there? And then I watch the episode. I go, I really don't know now because he's not in that episode. So, all right, let's get back to questions. Oh, how have I missed so many questions already? By the way, I'll post that for those of you. I'll post that Paley link. It's Phil and Ray and some of the writers talking about how episodes became true. Were any episodes based on real life events that happened to Patricia and her family? I don't believe so. She could relate to them, but none of the actors. It just wasn't. What am I trying to say? Because this is the same thing when we talk about ad-libbing and people are like, didn't Patty and Frank and Peter and Doris, didn't they ad-lib and Brad a whole bunch? No, but it has nothing to do with their ability to ad-lib. The structure of a show is such that you can't ad-lib. And I've mentioned this a lot. I'll do a whole show on it another time. you can't really ad lib because everything is choreographed by line number. Let me see. I think I have a script handy, but I don't know if it's a lined script. Let me see. Is this line? No, but so this is here's a script, everybody. That's a shooting script. Mozart, written by some guy named Philip Rosenthal. Yes. So every single line, so again, gets a number by it. And so they don't sit there and go, oh, hey, when Marie, they go back to line 54, and everyone goes, they don't care what it says, go back to line 54. But the actors have to hear the line. So if Ray says, well, that's what I said to Mom, and Brad Garrett is sitting there going, okay, now I know to say my next line. But if Ray says, I don't care, whatever, if the pizza's up, I don't care, then Brad Garrett is going to be like, when are you done yet? Because I need my cue line. So just going back, did Patty or Peter or Brad come into the writer's room and go, hey guys, here's a great story idea? That never happened. And I think if any of them went up to Phil and said, Phil, this happened to me, this might be a good story idea, I'm pretty sure Phil would have been like, oh, okay, let me hear the story. But that never happened. So usually it was the writers would come in and tell a real life story. Now, it had to be relatable. And Phil is very fond of saying, the more specific you are, the more relatable it is. So when you try and be general, people can't relate. So, the jazz records is a very specific thing that happened to me and touches onto, jealousy of children and fathers approving of you, etc. So that's the normal workflow. So there you go. So no, as far as I know, great question. Great question. Let's see this. Let's catch up. Hi, Janet Dawson Dwyer. By the way, that one of the things about Facebook is that you usually pull your full name. And before then, like on YouTube, you have these anonymous, you get a much meaner society when everyone is anonymous. So it's very, very interesting that you have people's full names. And Janet, I don't mean to pick on you. Yes, Nick's Comedy Stop in Boston. Yes, I did that many times. Didn't they had like a downtown location? All right, let me take a drink. I've been rambling on. Here you go. This time, a little coffee from the favorite quotes mug picked by everybody. And then, Oh, let me turn on my mug warmer. Okay. Yes, Nick's for everybody. Boston had a really thriving comedy scene. There were Nick's comedy stops around the Boston area. I'm trying to think. Brockton. Yes. Randolph. That could be right. Mona, was Tasteless Frank based on a true story? That I don't really know. Let's see. Hi, Deb Tucker. Did Letterman play a significant role in Ray's career in the beginning? Although he was on Johnny Carson first. Missed the Johnny Carson show. He was great. Yes, the Tonight Show. Yes, Raymond did. I was there. Raymond did the Tonight Show. You guys can look it up. But I want to say, I know I'm off on the date. November 8th, 1991 or 2. When did he retire? But nothing, quote unquote, came of it, meaning no development deal. Raymond did Letterman in May of 95, May of 95. That led to a development deal. And then Raymond had to find a writer, and Phil Rosenthal, and he paired up. So there you go. So, but Johnny Carson was the biggest thing you could do as a stand-up comedian. It was at the end of his reign. And so it was end of Johnny's reign, but it was still unbelievably prestigious. Okay, let me look at questions over here. Yes, looking there, hit return there. Okay, and what is that? Yes, okay, that's so interesting. Okay, I'm looking at different questions. Don't worry, everybody. Don't panic. We have this. Oh, that's an interesting one. What is that? Okay. Okay, let's see what comes up here. Double clicked on that. Yeah, that's so interesting. All right. Let me see. Fun with Debra. I talked about the stage, making it into a golf course. They didn't shoot it, cut out an entire scene. So just so you know, an episode had to be 22 minutes and 45 seconds long. It was to the second. And so Phil had to be very precise. You wouldn't film a 40-minute episode and cut it down to 22 minutes. The entire week, you're cutting to time, meaning you would do a whole rehearsal, you would do a table read, and there's a woman there, happened to be a woman, Ellen Halpern, and she would have a stopwatch, and she would go, Phil would be waiting, and he'd go, yes, Ellen, and she'd go, we're 4 minutes over. Okay, that's something called a laugh spread, where you go, we have to account for laughter. Hopefully on a good comedy, you have laughter, but you would cut scenes. So some shows didn't do that. Some shows just shot, much, much more. And so the goal was to shoot it to time, because if it's worth shooting, etc. So very precise, which is why when something got cut, like the Cousin Gerard scene, with, I think it was Johnny. I got to just find the picture. I will post that picture. It's surprising, but sometimes Phil would watch the episode and go, it feels like a tangent, which is why, going back to my point earlier, if you have a bunch of ancillary characters, takes away from the main story, it's not good. It doesn't work. It doesn't help the show. Okay, let's go back. Wow. Hi, Carmen. Again, that's not shaming. I'm saying good. I'm just yes, you're hearing Tom editing in his head. Why didn't they write Patty's pregnancy into the scripts? We did. Ray and I wrote the season 1 finale, which is called Why Are You Here? And so we did it as a flashback. Why didn't they make it a current, like, a whole storyline where Deborah's pregnant? We're like, we can do it in flashbacks. Patty got pregnant season 1 and season 3. In season 3, we just hit it because it just didn't feel like we would have to add another kid to the show. So that'd be 4 kids in the series. And so we did as best. Phil was like, look, the flashback is perfect because we can show Patty really pregnant, which she was. I think she gave birth in June, and we probably filmed the last episode in March, maybe. Somewhere I posted a picture of the table read. But then season 3, she got pregnant again by the dreaded Parker. And so this time she had to leave, and I think that was Cruising with Marie. Didn't have Patricia Heaton, and maybe one more. Did she miss 2 episodes? You guys would know better than me how many episodes Patricia Heaton missed of Ever's Raymond, because she had to selfishly give birth to another kid. Hi, Ashton.m.k. Does Raymond use lots of laugh tracks in the show, or mostly audience, or a mixture of both? Ashton, yes. Ever's Raymond uses almost 0. Sorry, if you're in the court of law, they use almost 0. If you're just talking, we don't use a laugh track. Didn't use a laugh track, but there's something called a sound mix. So there is a mix in there where they go, okay. And Phil would always say, we had to take out the laughs because we had, well, again, too much laugh spread. You have to assume people are watching at home and there's not 300 people around them. So when you hear this laughter that's going forever, which happened in the real studio audience, feels like I cut that down so we could fit the show in. So more often than not, they had to cut out laughs. You can hear, and I promise you, we will do an episode where I identify everybody's laugh, because you can hear Phil's laugh, Mark Sweet, the warm-up guy, Jeremy Stevens. Like, I can identify all the laughs. So yes, because I've told the story. We got a very angry letter once about a person in Colorado who stopped writing the show because the laugh track is so terrible and overused. And so Phil called her up and said, "Hi, this is Phil Rosenthal. I'm the executive producer of Ever's Raymond." And she said, "Oh, you got my letter?" And he said, "Yes." And she said, "Why do you use?" And he said, "We don't use the laugh track at all." And she was a little bit think she had a lot of anger to share about many things. And I think she was a little bit taken aback that Phil took the wind out of her sails a little bit in that regard. Okay. Hi, Catherine at the shore. Now, that tells me you're from New Jersey because nobody calls it the shore except for people from New Jersey. I was without a TV. I'm reading Catherine, by the way. I was without a TV for a few days recently and discovered the blooper reels of Everest Raymond. Imagine having a job where you know you're going to be laughing much of every day. Yes. So Catherine, Phil Rosenthal, every once in a while, we'd be laughing hysterically in the writer's room for a really long time. And Phil would go, it's shocking that we get paid to do this. But it is, as for those of you that follow, my goal, one of my goals was just show how many people it takes to make a really good show. Okay. Have I left anything out? I see. Let me see. Let me look on this screen. Okay. Oh, I can look on this screen over here. Yes, this is good. I still have to do. Okay, let me catch up. It's just so much fun to do. Okay, let me catch up here. Hi, Karen. Yes. People from Philly. Okay. People from Philly also call it the shore. Is that true, Karen? Yes. I will take your word for it. Yes. The actor Gerard. Yes. Fred Stoller was a writer on Seinfeld, and I think he wrote a very nice account of that called My Seinfeld Year, I believe it was called. You can tell between an audience and a laugh track. 2.5 Men had a laugh track. Yes. Well, a lot of people mix stuff. Hi, Karen. I don't ever hear my own laugh. Hi, Thomas Gerard. Patty Heaton only missed Cruising with Marie. I'm pretty sure. You could very well be right. You just never know. Let me see. Hi, Henry. When you have scenes that require random people in the background, did you ever have audience members fill them? Like in Nemo's. What was in Nemo's that was, I believe you. So the answer is no. You don't have random audience members because you have to rehearse during the week. So there's something called Audiences Unlimited. Sorry, there's called Central Casting. Really, when you hear the phrase, wow, they're right out of Central Casting for an evil villain. Central Casting is a company. Boy, I think it might have gone out of business. Is that possible? I don't know. Somebody can figure that out. But you have to sign papers. You have to have, so it's not so willy-nilly like, hey, you with the beard, come in here. We need you on the show. It's not that haphazard. So, but excellent question. Excellent question. Yes, Fred Stoller has been a guest star on many, many shows. Yes, Bob Silva, that's correct. The audience, we had an auto show in No Thanks, I think, and that was cut. Yeah, very few things were cut. That was really good. Yes, the pizza question, that is true. Okay, now I forgot, somebody pointed out, which is awesome, that we mentioned Hydrox in the show. Why do I bring that up? Because that is the sound of the canister. So here's the canister, folks. Let me see here's the canister. Now, just before you panic, because someone was at Paley yesterday and they're like, I saw the canister yesterday. How did you get, what kind of time travel? What kind of weird things are going on over there? They made, I'll have to ask Rhonda Robinson, head of props. They made quite a few. Any prop that was super important, they had to make more than one. Let's say somebody like myself stole something from the set. The show must go on, and they have to go, somebody go down and check Tom's office, see if he stole something. But in the meantime, we're not stopping production because people are on top of it. So there you go. There's multiple canisters. And I usually try and taste something every week. Let's see what these are. Oh, interesting. Hold on. By the way, it's really heavy steel. It's custom made. You're not going to find it on eBay. We're looking into making them. Well. Look at this, folks. Now, where is this? Oh, I think this might be, this is definitely not from the UK. I kind of know this. I think where are these from? These could be from Vietnam. I don't think it's not Korean. I know Korean. Sorry, I don't speak Korean, but you can tell the letters are more. Is it Vietnam, Cambodia? By the way, Phil tells a hysterical story at the Paley, which is based on real life, which you have to go back. People who are older than 40, thank goodness, you're out there. We need even older than that. In season 1, when they're making fun of Patty, of Debra's parents, and they say, oh, we went to Vietnam. Well, in 1996, Vietnam was still a current enough memory that going to Vietnam sounded like, I'm trying to think of something that's analogous. I guess I'm going to Berlin in 1947 or something, or 1950. We're headed to Berlin. It was so associated with the Vietnam War that Frank, said it'll be more fun than Vietnam. So and now as time has gone on, it doesn't carry that connotation, especially if you're under 40. You're sitting there going, okay, why is that funny, Vietnam? It's just a place in Asia that makes really good stuff that we buy. And so Phil tells a story about Paley that it was loosely based on his brothers-in-laws, and his brothers-in-laws were of that, worldly traveling couple. And so it was such an outlier and such a random thing that someone would go to Vietnam, that Phil's mother was like, are you crazy? We have to see these people, like knowing exactly who they would do it. All right. Going back to this, chime in, anybody, if you know where they're from. I'm trying to represent the whole world in my piggishness of an excuse to eat every cookie on the planet. Okay, let's open this up. It's very, I try and be authentic and not have it open. Oh, wow. This smells really good. Also, I tasted coffee crisp recently, and people are like, how do you not taste coffee? So this is a punch in the face of coffee flavor in a good way. And I do love coffee. Okay. So I'm going to have to taste the coffee crisp again. Maybe I was getting over something. Okay. Look at that camera work, right? This looks like if I was a mob informant and they used this to keep me anonymous, they used different cookie products to keep me anonymous. That's kind of what that looks like. Okay. So wafer, here we go. Light, airy, fluffy, super. Plenty of coffee flavor. Hold on one second. I have to do this. I'm going to mute. I got to tell a device to stop. Hold on. Really good. Tons of coffee. Hold on. Coffee cream wafers. I mean, look, it's a pretty straightforward name. Look at that. I mean, I know nothing about the ingredients. I don't look at the ingredients. Okay. Since 1934. All right. Somebody look these up. The IMEI company from 1930. Maybe it's Taiwan. Could it be from Taiwan? We shall see. All right. I'm going to give this a 7.2 rating. This is really tasty, exceptionally tasty. All right, let's go back and say final goodbye. Look at the time. Oh, gosh. Here we go. Oh, thank you. Product of Taiwan. Thank you. Thank you. Phil got his first break writing for a script for John Goodman's character on Roseanne years ago. That is the first time I'm hearing that. How They Met, best episode. Hello, Yorkshire, England. Yes, How They Met. How They Met is season 3, final episode. I remember, it's funny because I remember working on that, being in Phil's, and we were in a new production office. So that's what I'm going to guess. Hello, yes. Do you owe Charlie some payback? Yes, Denise. What is that? Firicano? Denise, that's a very funny joke. And that eventually those aren't going to be, they're just not going to carry the same comedic effect. Now, I'm looking into the distance because eventually something, you have to eventually accept that something is big enough. Like, let's say, hopefully, in jazz records, when Doris Roberts says those Beatles were awful, hopefully in 50 years, people won't go, what are the Beatles? I think you're pretty safe. I think Mozart is going to be around, these type of things. But eventually you go, okay, we can't only have, there has to be some references that might go away. So Vietnam is probably going to go away. Not at the time you thought, okay, this is of a certain magnitude. So, all right. This is so good. This is so good. Do I want to eat one of those? Hi, Gil. We used to get milk and wafer biscuits in junior school a long time ago. That's very good. All right. So I've rated that. Do we remember? I have to do a spreadsheet of our cookies, by the way. I have to have that. What happened? Hi, Jason Bird. What happened to the big fork and spoon in Frank and Marie's? Were there multiples of those made? Hello from England. Tucker Cawley had a gift. I think Donna Stamps maybe gave him. I mean, I know I'm 99% sure that's what happened. He got well, here, I'll cut the chase. You can see them at the Paley Museum until September 7th in New York. But Tucker Cawley got the original wallpaper mounted fork and spoon. So there you go. And I don't know how many were actually made. You are quite welcome, Anita. All right, let's see. Final questions before we go away. I had to be on FT with my mom and not sure if you answered my Ray comment. Hi, Ellen. I don't know what your Ray comment is, so I'm putting that up if you have time to write it again. Yes, scrolling, catching up. I think the Peter Cloud, yes, around. I believe all that info about Phil also appears in his book. Thank you. Thank you, Linda. Many of my high school went straight to Vietnam after graduation. Yes, Janet, very tough. And not in the current memory. You were, yes, very, very tough. I mean, it carries such a different weight now. Yes, with the passage of time, so many things changes. Maureen Schmidt, Philly is basically Jersey. LOL. Wow. Tell that, just yell that out at a New York Giants, Philadelphia Eagles game in Philly. Let's see what happens. We shall see what happens. Okay, here we go, Ellen. Raymond. I had to clear my throat for dramatic purposes. Raymond clearly said that he is not here. Let me bring up your question just so everyone else can, so they don't have to. Raymond clearly said, and for those of you that are only listening, I'm putting up the comments on the screen. Raymond clearly said he is not on social media. However, I noticed from my comments to you last week, Ray pressed like and made comments. So that means it really was not Raymond and that I was J-hacked. Okay, Ellen. Raymond, yes. I feel bad because a bunch of Raymond's friends and a very, 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 very old-time friend of Ray goes, who Anita Fletcher might have even used him. He said, Ray, I friended you on Facebook. And Ray goes, I'm not on Facebook. And I've never been on Facebook and never will be on Facebook. And he said, well, you have an account. Like, you should look into that. Now, every famous person gets fake accounts made every single day. So that person, yes, when you say he is not on, it's so funny because I made such a long video with Raymond and Phil Rosenthal. We were having lunch. I go, Ray, can you just post this? Because a lot of people are like, you want to be friended by Ray or any other celebrity and go, oh, okay. Yes. Oh, he finally started an account. Ray does not have an account. And the reason it's hard for us to believe is somebody takes a picture that's a current picture of Ray and it says, hey, this is really my private account, please. And sure, for me, if like, fill in the famous person, if Paul McCartney's like, hey, Tom, I'm just private messaging you, I needed more friends. And I just want to say also, do you happen to have, because I'm making a collection of social security numbers and bank account numbers for my hobby. Oh, okay, Paul, I will write that right away. Now, I'm making fun, but when I made a video with Ray going, I'm not on any social media. I've never been on social media. And he went on. And a lot of people wrote, hey, we get it. We understand. He's not. I'm like, yes, you get it. But a lot of people see Ray liking something or Patricia Heaton private messaging them. And they're like, oh, this is awesome. I love Patricia Heaton. And she's messaging me. So yes, that person commenting, and I really appreciate when people bring that to my attention, like, hey, here's somebody posing as Ray, Patty, Brad, anything. Because, Patty and Phil and Brad doesn't have a Facebook page, but, it gets really confusing with Patty. Patty's Facebook account years ago was taken over and she couldn't get it back. And so there were these terrible posts and people were like, I will no longer watch your shows because you are a terrible person. Had nothing to do with Patty. It was hijacked. So yes, Raymond, I'll tell you what, Raymond has never had social media. He never will. He will never this sounds so mean, but it's not anything against social media. He just doesn't care to do it. And so if you get a like, point it out to me and I'll block that person who's claiming to be Ray's manager, Ray's private thing, Ray's all of this stuff. So yes, unfortunately, Ellen, there you go. Long-winded answer. And I feel bad for people who are like, oh, I love that Ray liked me. Hi, Camille. Beautiful name. Fun with Debra is so relatable and not just golf. It could be a trip to Busch Gardens or Disney and starts out happy day. The end of the visit, hot and tired, fighting. Yes, absolutely. Fighting where you're stars. Oh, wow. I'm really catching up. Hi, Ellen. Yes, Philadelphia people are close to near Jersey. Yes, that portion I definitely believe. Lots of them trying to impersonate actors. If they comment, I just block the person. Yes, Patty was technically in Alone Time, but it was just the very first scene. Yeah, we might have pre-filmed that. I think, no, in Alone Time, Raymond Home Alone, was that? I think I wrote that. Maybe in Raymond Home Alone, was she in that one? In just the beginning? Yes. Oh, there you go, Kathy. You corrected yourself. Raymond Home Alone. Yeah, I think Patty was getting very pregnant at the time. And when she first got pregnant in the first season, she told Phil, I don't really show. And guess what? She shows tremendously. FYI, all I got more than a dozen likes from one of the comments on a post that was from Ray Romano. I deleted the comments and blocked the imposter. Yeah, and it's okay. It's okay that, I get him too. And I'm like, oh, okay, I have to block that person. Just, don't give away your personal information. Oh, let me catch up on my last comments. A good question. I'll have to ask Patty if she actually plays golf. Yes, you can message the Everybody Loves Raymond Facebook page. And if you have a conversation or you see a fake Ray Romano, you can go ahead and send it to me. I really appreciate, people like Mona sends me them. It's just helpful because it just stops people, because, the really nefarious characters are like, hey, private message me. And then the next thing you know, they're trying to get your bank account information. It's very unfortunate that people take advantage of people's kindness, etc. All right. I'm going to say goodbye. Delicious coffee cream wafers, Taiwan, 1934. Quite the thing. I'm going to have to wash this down with a delicious cappuccino. All right, saying goodbye, everybody. I hope you all have a good week. And I want to apologize. Anybody who's sending me messages, I get a lot of messages in a lot of different places, so I don't necessarily answer all the messages. But usually I am able to see 99% of them, or they're brought to my attention, etc. But if I don't respond, sometimes I don't see it. Like even the guy from Craft Services, Larry Babbitts, who put up the American flag over Craft Services, somebody showed that. He did that after 9/11. One time I checked and he had sent me like 40 links to stuff to check out. And I'm like, Larry, I feel bad because you sent me 40 and I sent you 0. So there you go. All right. Again, I think a lot of forks and spoons, for those of you that have ordered, a lot of those went out. So we appreciate your orders from our site. And guess what? We're past the halfway point of the year. That means Christmas. Yes, I don't even want to mention it because people get mad at me. But Christmas is not that far away. Yes, I say that, and it is 87 degrees. All right, have a good week, everybody. I will be posting more pictures from, including the script from Fun with Debra. Thank you very much for your comments. I will see you next week.